So, hey guys, welcome to the Developers Unplugged podcast. I'm speaking to Ibrahim, first ever guest on the podcast, which is absolutely fantastic. We
Wow.
actually only spoke, I think it was like last week, right? And
Yes.
your
Sure.
stories were so interesting. I was like, I don't have a podcast right now, but I need to make one. And yeah, we obviously need to have a proper conversation and such. But how you doing, man? You well?
I really appreciate it. Yes, I'm doing well, man. And really was such an interesting conversation with you. And obviously, I was really down. Thank you so much. It's an honor for me to host me, like for the first ever episode. So
Yeah.
I'm super excited. Yeah, I hope we can make a good one.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. So I guess just to kind of give people a bit of a context on yourself, then, I mean, you're currently working at Vinted, very well known,
Yes.
especially in the UK as well. You're currently working at Vinted as a marketing automation engineer. So it's quite maybe not as well known. So how could you explain that position for maybe somebody that isn't totally aware of what it is exactly?
Yeah, so if someone isn't totally aware of what it is, I would say that's completely normal. I mean, it's a very unique kind of position, and also it's kind of a not like it is currently a unique niche to mixing IT with marketing, but it's happening all over the place in almost every industry. And I think also marketing is one of the main areas where lots of automation is required, lots of advancement there, because there is. I mean, you work in a company and you know that marketing usually is the biggest expenditure, and that's because there's a lot of material to be made. There's a lot of campaigns. There's a lot of work, and there's a lot of marketing people as well. They are doing lots of work to make sure they are targeting the correct people. They're making ads which represent the company well,
Yeah.
and this all results in like a huge load of a load of work. And most of this work is literally just determining, okay, which campaign should be paid how much, and until when it should run, and what's in which hours should it be visible on which platforms. And all of these decisions, usually, especially when you're a big company and have like multi-million campaign running every day,
Yeah.
then lots of those decisions could be automated. And this is literally what I do, is that I'm helping the marketing people. I'm not automating anybody's job, but but what I mainly do, and that's what I really love about it, is that I am making the lives of the marketing people so much easier, and they just have to do much less manual things because of the work we do. So that's primarily what is it in, like, yeah, the shortest way I could
No,
explain
that's
it, because
fine.
I could I could spend like lots of time talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. So obviously just giving people a kind of overview. And so I guess kind of take me back a little bit, Ibrahim, if that's okay. I mean, did
Of
you
course.
know that this is what you wanted to do when you was like in school? Like, how did you get to this point?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. So like yeah, when I was in school, I had kind of no clue, no idea. I didn't even give it the slightest thought what I want to be in the future. I just know I wanted to be someone who has a lot of money. But that's the thing. Like where I come from, you usually only think about this after the high school ends and you get the results, and then based on your results, then you're gonna like start thinking, okay, which university I can be accepted into, which I can afford. And so this decision is like crammed into like 1 month of your life. My goal when I was in school, I just had one goal. Just I need to go to Germany. I need to be in Europe. That's because my father was working there. So I was really attached to my father, and I also had the opportunity, like wanted the opportunity to go into a German university in Jordan. It's called the German Jordan University, and they offer you like kind of like a year to at the end of your degree to graduate, to go to Germany,
Yeah.
work, study for 6 months and work for 6 months as well. And you of course need to arrange all of this by yourself. They help you find a university, and then you need to look for an internship. When I came to Germany, so I studied accounting. Yeah, so like nothing related to this. When I came to Germany, I really struggled to find an internship, and due to like many personal reasons, and also because I was lazy and I didn't really know what I really wanted. And I ended up like getting an internship in like a startup, super super small startup in Berlin.
Mm.
It was, I mean, now it's big, now it's really doing great. But when I went
Mm.
there, it was just overtaken by two investors. All the employees, I think it had 40 employees, they were all like found another job, or
Mm.
like fired, or like just quit because the company was going down. And so those two people were trying to build it, and they had like 60 big clients and nobody working. And I was like an intern with two other people, and I was there to do like some content
Mm.
managerial things. But like month after month, and then I started doing everything. So like we are doing like the customer service, I'm doing the accounting, I'm doing like meetings, I'm doing sales, I'm doing onboarding, I'm doing hiring. So I was doing like a lot of things. And at that time there was really no choice. Like you only do what is the top most important of the top most important. You're not really just able to do all the top important things. No, you're
Yeah.
just doing like barely what you can do to survive.
Yeah.
And there was lots, like, because we had, imagine the shift in knowledge. There was 40 people working every day, and then there was none, and then there was new people trying to pick up the pace. So no structure, no processes at all. And I remember like I had one colleague, like an intern who was there before me. He was the only other intern, and he was from
Mm.
the UK as well.
Oh, nice.
Yes, and yeah, we end up. He's one of the best people I've ever met, and he was doing his internship. And I remember like the first day I started the internship, he told, like, we got along super well. We were joking together, and he told me, "Bro, you seem like a really nice person. I'm gonna tell you this for your own sake. Run, run away. Just find anything else. Find
Yeah.
another thing. You're not gonna learn much. You're gonna do lots of manual things. And I remember his last month, he spent working on a task, which is basically, um, looking just having like a spreadsheet with like 11,000 links for a website. And he needed to click on each link and see the website and see, oh, is there a video? There's a
Yeah.
video, it's working. And then he puts it in the spreadsheet. If it's not working, he puts it in the spreadsheet. So just like the most unentertaining, like
Super
horrible task.
boring. Yeah.
Yes, super boring. So he was doing this for a month, 8 hours a day. His last month in internship, he finished like every podcast, every Netflix series you could think of. And he left. We had like lots of jokes about it. But then 1 month after he left, the same customer sends us like a list of the same thing, the same task. Only it's instead of 11,000, it's like 19,000 or 20,000. And it's for me to do. And I saw
Oh,
this and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna spend the next 3 months doing this.
yeah.
So I was just dreading everything. I was not like, but then I had an idea. I'm like, okay, why don't I see if there's a plugin which opens all of those, and then I can just go through them quickly and I can see each one of them. So what I noticed, so I had this plugin, and I found like a plugin on the Chrome store, which you just paste all the URLs and it opens them for you. And I started checking, okay, each plugin, each product, whether it has it or not. And then I noticed, oh, like when it has a video, there is a slight difference in the URL.
Mhm.
So I said, okay, what if I can open all of them and then copy all the URLs and then just compare? And
Yeah.
I found another plugin which is like called copy all URLs, and I copied all of them. put them in the spreadsheet, and I did like just a simple Excel formula. And then the task that took my friend 1 month, it took me literally like 15 minutes.
Oh my God. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Oh wow, fantastic.
So
And so I guess is that kind of the moment where it almost inspired
yeah.
you to like pursue that even more, condensing all of these horrible jobs that are so monotonous and boring, repetitive, and almost being like, okay, it's almost like a light bulb moment, right? Where you're like, I can actually do this for
100%.
a living, right? I can really kind of streamline people's way of working.
Exactly, yeah, 100%. Once I did this, I just filmed it. I sent it first to my friend,
Oh no.
and then I sent it to my CEO, and he was like very, very happy. And he said, "Okay, stop whatever you're doing, and just think about how we can do this to everything else." And
Yeah.
yeah, this is how it started. Yes.
Oh wow, that's fantastic. And I guess what was some of the key challenges for you, and maybe even now? Is there like some key challenges for you, obviously, when it comes to your career? I think especially for people in software development, you know,
Mm,
it's quite a challenging career to obviously get into. There's
mm,
so many different obstacles that are in the way, especially obviously the recent sort of market as well, market conditions. I mean, do
mm.
you have any advice for anyone, obviously, for junior engineers, for example, maybe work student engineers coming out of university, looking for new
Mm.
opportunities, especially in the Berlin sort of market as well? Do you have any advice for them, obviously, going through the sort of experiences that you've gone through?
Actually, yes. That's a really good point, especially that the market is not doing exceptionally well right now, especially not how it was 2 years
Mm.
ago. Everyone with like 2 months experience was getting hired
Sure.
for software engineering, and you see all the layoffs. And I think this is kind of a natural thing to happen in all like hyped industries. And of course, like software engineering is not something which is going away. It's not something which will have less demand. It's always going to have more and more, but there's also more supply. The first, it's just a two-part thing. Like the first thing I would say to anyone who's trying to get into it is just do what you love, like just try to find what you could spend hours doing and not feeling it, because if you're not doing something, if it's not something for you, it's not something that you like, then not then it's okay to quit. Then it's okay to like find
Yeah.
what you actually are passionate about. And once you're like sure about what you're passionate about, and you wanna like pursue something which gives you better opportunities, I would say like niche in. Try not to be like of course, knowing a lot
Like
about
everything. Yeah.
everything is it's my specialty. But then, but it's also not and not very attractive. So the more you are specialized, the more you are kind of like rare in a specialty, the better is your chances. And this is not just me saying it. You will hear this from me and from like
Yeah.
20-year experienced developer. Just
Yeah.
niche and try to mix things. Do not look at the most common job titles, data engineers, data scientist. You will see all of those in the job ads, and you'll find like 200, 300 applicants. And it's kind of really, really competitive. So try to find what you like and mix it in. So see the AI experience manager, see the financial data analyst, see the marketing like data scientist,
Yeah.
and try to find out which of those niches do you like the most. And yeah, specialize. And it's the easiest way to specialize when you don't have experience, because once you have the experience, once you're working, then you are specializing every day, then the
Absolutely.
next job is going to be easier. But the best way to kind of improve your chances, and also probably like be in really in demand, is to niche into something which you can mix with IT. So you don't
Mm.
need to just always be purely IT. Especially now, what is really, really wildly in demand is medical, like medical science or
Yeah.
natural sciences, and IT mixes, and it's in demand in industry, in academia. Um, don't just choose this based on my words. Just look for yourself and choose what is best for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Some great points there, some fantastic points. I mean, do you have any, I know that obviously you mentioned those two sort of positions as such, obviously mixing IT and obviously mixing a sort of different specialisms is absolutely fantastic. And like I said, I second that as well. I've seen that personally. Do you have any sort of maybe sort of positions as such that you feel is going to be super in demand in 2024 in terms of tech, specifically also in sort of Berlin as such as well? Because obviously it's so difficult, isn't it? You have all of these degrees, you come out of university and you're like, do I want to be a front-end developer? Do I want to be a back-end developer? Do I want to start going into tech? Like there's so many different pathways that you can go into tech, which is kind of the beauty of tech, right? But is there, have you kind of seen from your point of view, sort of more demand in certain positions as such?
Well, there is definitely less demand in everything right now. That's for sure. So in terms of like specific position names, so I would say I used to do this when I was looking for a job. I used to have this habit. This habit is I am making LinkedIn filters based on, I had a LinkedIn filter for Python, LinkedIn filter for Python automation, for marketing engineer, for sales engineer. I had a LinkedIn filter for anything which I am interested in, and I used to look at those at least 30 minutes per day. And this is when this is even when I didn't look for a job. This is when I was trying to understand how's the market going and what I should learn in order to and also what is most interesting for me to go into in the next years. So that's one thing that you should do. You should no recruiter or nobody is having the time for you to do this work for you. So you have to do this work. You have to know the market. You have to understand it. You have to study it, and you have to keep an eye on it. That's nobody is going to do this for you. No YouTube channel, no writer, no blogger. You know you best, and so you do need to do this work. In terms of what is really in demand, so if I'm being honest, my eyes has been on more mid to senior positions, as like this is what I'm looking at right now. But what I really noticed is the sharp increase in data engineering, because people realize that before you need one data scientist, you need like 10 data engineers. Before you get like the first data scientist, there has to be like a full infrastructure, full processes going on. And what it used to happen, especially in past 2 years, because lots of hiring managers and also IT leaders, which are not really technical, they used to think, okay, we need we'll just bring like 5 data scientists and they're gonna do all the data things. And this doesn't happen. So the data scientists were basically doing the data engineering, the data analysis job, and maybe if they have the time ever, they were doing some data science. So that's a thing which I really think is gonna be the biggest area in IT, is data engineering mixed with medical, natural sciences, marketing, sales, and even could be HR. I don't know. But yeah, mainly marketing and medical sciences, data engineering. This is, I think, is gonna be the most in demand.
Yeah, 100%. I've seen that as well. And you're absolutely right as well. You're absolutely spot on. I think, again, combining it with a specific niche, not just being like a general all-round data engineer, it's actually of course, it's going to narrow your opportunities, but all of the opportunities that it's narrowed down to are all going to be very much interested in you. So it actually increases your chances, kind of using a bit of data there, which is quite relevant.
Exactly.
Yeah, fantastic. So I guess you've obviously worked with some super talented people and super talented engineers obviously in your time. Maybe that's the case right now as well. I'm sure obviously your team at Vinted obviously are fantastic. Is there any sort of common traits among sort of like top performing software developers that you've noticed that's quite common among sort of all of the people that are the high achievers as such in software development, in terms of maybe personality traits?
Yes. That's such a toughie. That's because, okay, you need to define like high performing, because I know lots, like I've seen lots, as you said, and I've seen like two categories of like high performing IT workers, and one category is like he's the super smart, very nerdy, talks to no one, kind of like I wouldn't be mean and say no personality, but just hides their personality or just not open at all, and not very good communicators. But when you come and see their work and like coding, you see like they are doing magic, and honestly, those people, they don't get recognized often, they don't
Mm,
get rewarded, they don't get they don't get like the recognition of their work. And that's kind of, to be honest, I used to see it as unfair, but then once I understood more and more about the work culture and how business goes, I
yeah,
think it's definitely expected. So the biggest, the best IT people that I've worked with, or I've seen, that has a mix of the two, that they are very passionately, like very smart, and have like very good technical skills, but they are also the ones which mix it with really good soft skills in terms
yeah,
of like sales, not selling like a product to someone, but selling themselves, selling their
yeah,
idea, selling their plan, and being able to communicate. So this is the thing which I like almost 100% above the board. I saw like the top performing IT people, also the most recognized and top rewarded, were the ones who were the most efficiently communicating.
yeah.
Not necessarily the best coders, but the one who can communicate the best. At least that's what I perceive. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And I speak to so many different software engineers, all different backgrounds, and coming from startup companies in Berlin and maybe more recognizable companies in Berlin. And for me, again, it's very similar to that, but also a common trait. I've actually written a post about this on LinkedIn, plug the LinkedIn there. But I actually wrote a post about this on LinkedIn about a common trait that they all have that I've personally noticed is continually looking to develop their
Sure.
skills. Constantly looking to improve in every area. Like I know somebody who is, I believe, nearly sort of 20 years in their software development career. So, definitely not fresh out of university for sure. I've been coding since there was like 15, I think it was.
Yeah.
Just absolutely amazing. And he, to this day, will always attend like webinars. He'll
Mm.
attend like all of these different like coding chat, like classes, in-person coding, like master classes and stuff like that. And he's always looking for feedback. He asks me sometimes for feedback, which I find insane. But just always open to new ideas, always open to fresh
Yes.
ideas, even though you've got such a fantastic knowledge and, just ultimately is probably the, on paper, the most intelligent person in his team is always the one who
Wow.
asks the most questions from like feedback, like how could I improve this? How could I get better? And I find that it's such a common thing and such a common theme from software developers to always have that growth mindset,
Absolutely.
always looking to improve, always looking to say like, look, the code was great, but like, how could we make it better? Is there anything I'm
Yes.
doing wrong? Just continually checking in. And it kind of goes vice versa. I think one of the worst habits a software engineer can have, and you could probably back me up here as well, Ibrahim, is probably the opposite of a growth mindset and almost like stagnating. You get past like 3 or 4 years in software development and you often feel that you've learned it all, that's it. You don't need to learn anymore. Like you can't learn anything else from anyone else. And it's almost like an ego that kind of blocks you from growing anymore. And that is such a sad thing to see as well, because then people are just kind of almost declining over a sort of past a certain amount in their career, which is a shame. But yeah, like I said, I think it's just always interesting, isn't it, seeing these common traits from very much high performing individuals, for sure. I mean, did you have sort of any top tips for sort of when it comes to interviews, when it comes to software developers? Because I'm sure that obviously you've had quite a few interviews
Yeah.
in your time, and obviously it landed a position obviously at Vinted, which is fantastic. Did you have any tips for software developers when it comes to interviews? Because I know, again, me being a recruiter in Berlin, they struggle a
Yes.
lot, and a lot of people sometimes need a lot of help when it
Yes.
comes to that. Is there any sort of top tips for you that you could recommend?
Yes, absolutely. So, like, just to, yeah, as you said, back you up on your assertion there. I think it's absolutely true. I think also, if you're not like someone with a growth mindset that wants to learn every day and wants to continue learn until like the last day in their career,
Mm,
then software engineering or IT is the worst career for you,
mm,
because if you stop learning, if you don't continue learning, then you're just not gonna make it. It's not something which you can learn for a bit on it and then do it for like 10, 20 years. Technologies change, everything about how you do your job is gonna change. So if you don't learn, you will not be able to continue.
yeah.
And to answer your questions about the interviews, so that's absolutely true. I've seen lots of people struggle in interviews. I actually really like interviews, and that's why that's like my first tip. Just don't treat them as a big test. Make sure that you are not just appearing comfortable, but that you are comfortable. I think also can do this only with more experience doing the interviews. And especially in Berlin, like I think also people need to realize that doing interviews is also very different, depends on where are you doing the interview and who are you doing the interview with. And so for me now, I'm gonna speak about the Berlin culture and the kind of like software startup culture. I think it's applicable to almost every kind of startup hub or like international companies. So the first thing is that just feel like yourself, and I know that you hear this a lot, but just be vulnerable. Just make sure that you're into it, just like a person, just you're like you are meeting a new person, a new friend, not someone that you want something from, and then hide all of the anxiety behind it. Just admit your mistakes, admit your wrongdoings, speak, be confident about your assets, be confident about what you bring to the table, to the table. And also treat the interview as you are also, they are interviewing you for a job, but you're also interviewing them to see if you would be a good fit.
Mm,
And actually, especially for juniors and for interns and for people with like less than 3 years experience, nobody wants to like, I'm saying about the good positions, I'm talking only about the good recruiters. Nobody wants to like make sure you are the best coder in history, or that you are really like amazing with Python or with C++.
yeah.
That's not the goal there. What they really want to do, they want to do two things. They want to make sure that you're a team fit, so they can imagine themselves working with you, and they want to see your attitude. They want to see an attitude of someone who wants to learn, who wants to grow, and someone who's not going to be there for like 1 year and then he's gonna try to go to the, yeah, like not there for just the money. They are looking for someone who wants to grow and learn. So that's the two things, and that's the only thing which they want to have. So you want to make sure that your interviewer feels comfortable with you, that he feels
Yeah.
that he likes you. Do not kind of like overdo it and be the person who's like begging for or like very desperate for other people liking them. And that's why it's about yourself. Everyone likes confident people. Everyone likes people who can speak about themselves honestly and can
Mm,
express themselves and can be vulnerable. So it's like treat it as any other conversation.
yeah.
Prepare, like it's not a shame. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't prepare at all. What I really like to do, the way I prepare, I don't like to have like a sheet and put it and start reading from it.
Mm.
That makes me anxious. I hate this. For me, for some people it works, but for me, I just imagine scenarios, imagine the question and imagine the answer in my head, and I treat it this way. And obviously you need to be ready for tough questions. Do not get flustered or anything. And also, even if everything if the interview did not go well, it's still like an experience for you, that is definitely like one of the most valuable. The more especially when you're in a young age, the more interviews you do, the more mistakes that you do, the better you become at it, and then
Exactly.
the better jobs and better salary that you can land after in your career. So
100%.
don't get depressed from like, oh, I applied 200, 300 times and I got like 10 interviews, no job offers. That's just totally normal. Some people are lucky, yes, they can get like a job from third interview, but they are not as lucky as you because they are never gonna get this experience of making so many mistakes. So yeah, basically try to learn from your
100%.
mistakes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Fantastic answers. And do you know what? I would actually say that this isn't just relevant for junior engineers, but actually even more so now, people who are obviously now looking for jobs, maybe they've been affected by waves of layoffs and whatnot. And a lot of times, if you haven't had an interview, if you stayed at a company for like 4 or 5 years, a lot of times you're going to be like a junior, right? Like maybe you can obviously talk a little bit more about the work that you've done, which maybe junior engineers maybe can't do. But a lot of times it's quite hard for a lot of developers to actually showcase why it is that they'd be a good fit for the position. And
Hmm.
actually, some of the best engineers that I've spoken to, it kind of goes back to what you mentioned about maybe like introverted engineers who are amazing at coding but just can't really speak to people. And
Yeah.
some of the best, most talented engineers, great people that I've spoken to, unfortunately haven't, have really struggled to find positions because they
Yeah.
just don't know how to talk about their solutions. They can give the solutions, they just don't really know how to talk about the solutions. But like I said, I think them points are absolutely relevant to anyone right now that's looking for a position because, yeah, I mean, if you've not had an interview for 3 or 4 years, you're going to be really nervous. And it is just about
Of course.
trial and error. And I think a lot of people think that maybe if they have 3 or 4 interviews, then they're definitely going to get, an offer somewhere and they'll get a new job. When actually, there's some great people out there that need maybe 30 or 40 interviews before they actually even find something that aligns with their interests. So it definitely, you have to
True.
keep going. It's a mindset thing. You're always going to get knocked back, unfortunately. And I think one of the things that I would sort of add on to what you've said, Ibrahim, is just don't take it personal. Don't take it personal. Everyone's getting affected right now, and it's something that is unfortunate. But I think as long as you go in with every interview with a clear head, then you'll be absolutely fine. And it's just about
Absolutely.
patience for sure. But look,
Absolutely.
that was going to be sort of us. But thank you so much, Ibrahim, for coming on the podcast. The first ever guest, like I say, has been absolutely brilliant. Like I said, we only actually met last week, and I pitched this idea to you about this podcast. That wasn't even invented at that time. And yeah, like I say, you've been absolutely brilliant. So thank you so much for coming on.
I really appreciate it. It's been such a pleasure for me, and wish you a really nice evening. And hopefully everyone is listening. And
Yeah,
yeah, I hope it's not the last time as well. And
yeah,
yeah, absolutely. Is it okay if I plug myself?
yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
100%.
So I'm trying now. I'm building like my website, and I'm trying to help people change their career or find a new job, especially in data. So I want to provide like a very relevant kind of mentor or coaching to people who want to switch their careers, as I said, or find a job in Germany or in Europe at a super cheap rate, because I'm also trying to learn how to mentor. So if you want to have a conversation with me, just go to ibrahimjarrar.com and book a session. The first one is free, just to get to know each other. So yeah,
That's
hopefully
amazing.
I'm gonna see you there.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yes,
Look, thank you so much, man. It's been a brilliant pleasure, obviously, talking to yourself.
you as
And yeah,
well.
part two coming soon, I'm sure, at some point this year. All right, take care.
Absolutely. Cheers. Take care.
Take care.